next segment now in the Odds Couple Sports Betting Show for August 23rd is Week 1 games in the Big 12. Yes. Mike Brenner and I have been doing a selection of these now in the Big 12. There's a whole bunch of teams. A lot of them actually have FCS matchups, so they don't have lines. We only have 4 games here for Week 1 in the Big 12, but there's some big ones here.
Oh,
there's
buddy, is there.
God,
Pete, I'm so fired up. Football is here, baby.
Let's start with the first one. I'm sure you have a lot to say about this one.
Do.
I don't know what I think about it. Notre Dame and Texas.
Yes.
Huge game. Now, Notre Dame was very banged up last year. This year, there's a lot to recommend them, especially on offense. They got 2 quarterbacks who can get it done. Texas, Charlie Strong on the hot seat, even though he doesn't necessarily deserve to be there. Last year, of course, in Week 1 at Notre Dame crushed him, 38-3. The line here is Texas at home plus 3.5. The total is 60. Mike Brenner, you have anything to say about that game?
I do, Pete. And you know what? You said it right. Although Charlie Strong might not deserve to be on the hot seat, sometimes there's coaches in the wrong program. And we talked about this before. I think this just isn't the type of program for him. And again, I think that. I think coaching's going to win this game. I don't think there's anything going to stop Notre Dame from going in there and beating this team by more than 3.5. I think the fact that Charlie Strong knows that he's on the hot seat, his team knows he's on the hot seat, all right, you got players that know it. That puts pressure on everybody involved, and it takes away the focus of putting together a proper game plan. I'm telling you, I like the fact Brian Kelly will have his team ready to go. He's got 2 quarterbacks, like you said, Pete, have nothing but experience, ready to get it done and look for that running game to take off. And I'm telling you right now, that defense is going to be better than people think. Notre Dame, that's going to be
all right. I can't say disagree with that. How deep did you look into Texas? Because I have a few real questions. Maybe our educated viewers. Okay, first of all, Charlie Strong's team's usually good on defense, great on defense.
Of course, that's where he's built his whole name in Florida years ago. It was a mess.
Last year was a mess.
And then I got to tell you why. I got to interrupt you. Here's what happened. They had some major issues the end of the season before last and all of last season with the offensive coordinator, the wrong play call, and you had a lot of pointing fingers. So what Charlie Strong did was took his eyes off the defense, which is where he specializes, Pete. He put responsibilities in the hands of another defensive coordinator and tried to look over his shoulder at the same time. You know what that causes? Mistrust between everybody. I'm telling you right now, lack of confidence. That's why they lost those games.
Maybe it'll be better this year then. What do you think?
I don't think so, Pete. Okay. I think this is a program that's going to have a new coach next year. And again, I don't think it's Charlie Strong's fault.
It's not necessarily his
fault.
fault.
He might just have to move on. But Notre Dame is too well focused, too well coached, and they come back year in and year out. They don't have this type of drama. All right, I like it. I think this is solid. And I'm telling you, Texas is going to have a lot of spots this year where you can cash a ticket.
You're probably right. He's probably better off at a program where it's like lower profile, where you can build a strong defense.
That's right.
Recruit guys. Yeah,
absolutely.
But then on the
personally,
offense,
thought he should have stayed in the SEC. I really did.
And then on the offense, they're starting a new air raid offense, but they don't really have the quarterbacks who are built for that. How do you think the offense is going to be? Is it going to be effective or not so much?
It could be, but it's going to take time. They got some big spots to fill in the trenches up front, and they have some injuries already, as I've read up on. So this team is already dealing with some injuries, some little nicks and bruises early on. But you know what? That spells trouble week 1. Notre Dame quietly under the radar. There's nothing but just confidence going on right now.
All right, so if we think that their offense will be somewhat effective, maybe the over 60, what do you think about that?
I don't see Texas putting up a bunch of points, Pete. I don't.
All right, so your pick is...
But I may be wrong, because you know what? Your nickname is Totals Loshak.
I'm definitely leaning over 60 here. As far as the side's concerned, I guess I got to lean Notre Dame at minus 3.5.
Yeah,
you're liking
on a lean, I like that.
All right, we've broken that down. Now we've got 3 other games. Kansas State at Stanford, huge game. Oklahoma at Houston. Of course, Houston is the class of a Power 5 this year. Last year they had a great season. Got a little bit lucky with turnovers. Will Ward be able to last the whole season? Not necessarily sure, but he'll definitely be healthy for this game. They're a big underdog to Oklahoma, though, and Oklahoma's not necessarily a team I want to start out fading. And then we have Missouri.
Well, we're going to just quit dancing around the bush right here and jump to this K-State Stanford game, because you and I broke this down earlier, and guess what? Bill Snyder's getting older.
Yes.
Okay? This team is a program on the decline. I really feel that. Now, years past, they had that. They played upset role. They came in when they were favorites and would lose games, but came in when they were supposed to get blown out and win games. I'm telling you right now, Stanford's going to come in and kick the dog shit out of that team.
Yeah. I mean, Stanford has some issues, too, though.
I know
Stanford
they do.
Has some questions, but
They do, but you know what? He's getting old, Snyder. How much does he really have left in the tank? for coaching. All right, you look at the other side of the ball. That guy is just young, up and coming, one of the best coaches in football.
Yeah.
I think they'll plug holes sooner. And my advantage is Stanford on the first half, but we'll get to that down the road.
My only concern for Stanford, not necessarily in this game, is that the offensive line is a big strength. And
yes,
they're rebuilding a lot in the offensive line. And the last time they were in this position was 2014, and that was their down year.
Yes, I know.
So I'm leaning under in this one, even though it's a low total 50. That's going to be my official lean. And then we got Oklahoma, Houston. You have anything to about that one?
That could be an air raid. That could be an absolute, and I think we're really going to find out what kind of team Bob Stoops has, because you and I talked about this, Pete. Years past when Oklahoma had a ton of expectations, guess what? They underachieved.
Right.
All right. Years that they weren't expected to do much, they overachieved, beat some big quality key teams at elite moments. So you know what? This is one I'm going to have to sit back and watch, because I'm not. And Houston, you know what? There's a lot of returning starters coming back. This is a team could
underrated
be dangerous.
On defense.
Underrated on defense.
I would lean Houston there at
I would too
10,
with 10.
sure.
Yeah, I saw it even 10.5.
Yeah,
so
if you get 10.5. And then I think I have a big balls totals play here. Missouri and West Virginia. I'm going to take over 50.5. The reason it's big balls, of course, is because last year Missouri was great on defense, but it didn't really matter because they were absolutely anemic on offense.
Oh my God, were they
Which
ever?
explains why this is a low total. But
what is that total again?
50.5. Now we know that Dana Holgorsen a lot of times loves to have a big passing offense, and he's got a quarterback who's in the second year. Quarterbacks a lot of times make great big strides under Holgorsen, and he's got a deep receiver, a talented complement of receivers to go with them. So I'm liking West Virginia here, at least offensively. And then Missouri, they might take a step up. They've got this quarterback, Drew Lock, who was supposed to be a star. He was far from that last year, but he may improve here. They have, a lot more experience on offense, if not necessarily talent. So adding it all together, it's a relatively low total, and I'll take 50.5 over Missouri, West Virginia. Could lose, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk you off the ledge, and if that's the big balls play, Pistol Pete, I kind of like, or the big balls lean.
Yeah.
I like West Virginia at home. They're at home, and that's a tough place to go play. It is a tough place to play, and I would be leaning probably something on a first half with West Virginia, because I think they're going to have enough established early, and Missouri's going to have to get comfortable in that stadium, and it ain't going to happen in the first 2 quarters, baby.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Let's give our one top lean of these 4 Big 12 games. You go first, Mike.
Okay, Notre Dame, buddy. Minus the 3 or 3.5.
Minus 3 or 3.5.
Absolutely.
And I will take, I guess I will take Missouri, West Virginia over 50.5. Hopefully,
you got to give me a high five because football's here. But guess what? The most important weapon is Sportsbook Review Guide. You guys got to know where you're playing, and I'm not exaggerating it. It's time to open up 2 and 3 accounts because you're going to get benefits from the bonuses, all right? Take advantage of it. Trust me, I fought that for years. I did, until I found out just how much I could benefit from doing that. So take the time, take 10 minutes, sign up through these books at SBR, and I'm telling you right now, you'll save yourself some money, and you'll start beating that bookie's ass. College football's here.
Nice pitch.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts. Shop for lines at sbrodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.